I'm going to call this meeting order and ask Necere Flores and Kevin Olivares from Monte Elementary School, Monte Vista, please step forward, grab that microphone, bring it down, and please lead us in the pledge.
There's a process.
Everybody stand up, please. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, and members of the public. My name is Kevin Olivares.
My name is Nereida Flores. At this time, we would like to invite you to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise and place your right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If you can all remain standing. Bob Barnett, are you here? Please go ahead. Thank you very much for the Pledge of Allegiance. Now we're going to do our invocation. Please go ahead.
Lord God, as we begin this evening, we would invite your presence to be here. We know that there's a lot to be discussed, and we need your wisdom and your guidance. We need you to work through the talent and the skill of the people gathered here. And Lord, we're seeking the blessing upon our community, upon our people, upon our children. We're thankful, Lord, for all the things that you do. And we ask a special blessing tonight upon those, Lord God, that are going to be honored for their service to the community. We ask this in the name of the Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. You may be seated. Councilor Reyna, if you can go up, please, sir, and do the award. I know we already spoke about the time issue. And just for folks in the audience and on TV, we're going to go through the budget and do everything we can because we have several members of the City Council, including the City Attorney and the City Manager, that are catching a flight for a National Association of Latino Elected Officials. We actually have Councilor Martinez and Councilor Tinajero already there. So this meeting will end at 7:45 or earlier. Please go ahead, Council Member.
As we get ready to go forward, I'm going to ask all the parents to come on up and stand up here behind me as we get ready to recognize you. So if you're here for the Parent of the Year recognition, please step forward. Don't be shy. Come on up. All the way up, all the way up, all the way up, all the way up. Todos pueden pasar. Pásenle, pásenle, pásenle. You know, as they start coming up, you'll frequently hear me say that it takes a community to raise a child. And today we have, throughout the district, recognition of Parents of the Year for each school throughout the district. These are parents that have volunteered their time, not only to affect their children, but to affect the community at large. This, to me, is the fabric of our community, the sweat equity that builds that foundation for every family to succeed. And it's on the backs of individuals like the people you see behind me that are willing to serve a greater good, willing to help out those they don't even know, knowing that helping them, helping that child, at the end of the day is going to help out everybody here. Hold on, come on in, don't be shy. Go down to them. Make some room. Love the purple hair. My favorite color, my favorite color. Come on, don't be shy. Everybody, Pearl, come on in, don't be shy. Maria, come on in, all the way in. Maybe you scoot back just a little bit so they can fit in. So today in front of us, we have 56 parents that were recognized through the Santa Ana Unified School District for all their hours of dedication and the impact that they want to have in that particular school. April 21st, the school district recognized them for their good work, and I thought it was well adjusted that the City Council did the exact same thing. And today, it's exactly what we're here for today. So please join me in giving them a round of applause. At this point, I'm going to ask a parent to come on up that may want to speak. Una padre que quiera hablar tantito de la experiencia. Entrate. I love that. How eager that is. Me, I want to be. She's a leader. Absolutely.
Good afternoon. And I am so proud of being here. I'm so happy. And I just want to take Patricia Gomez, which she's our parent coordinator at the district. And she's one of inspirations. And I just want to take Patricia Gomez, which she's our parent coordinator at the district. And she's one of inspirations. And I just want to take Patricia Gomez, which she's our parent coordinator at the district. And she's one of inspirations. And I just want to take Patricia Gomez, which she's our parent coordinator at the district. And she's one of inspirations. And I just want to take Patricia Gomez, which she's our parent coordinator at the district. And she's one of inspirations. And I just want to take Patricia Gomez, which she's our parent coordinator at the district. And she's one of inspirations. And I just want to take Patricia Gomez, which she's our parent coordinator at the district. And she's one of inspirations. And I just want to take Patricia Gomez, which she's our parent coordinator at the district. And she's one of inspirations. And I just want to take Patricia Gomez, which she's our parent coordinator at the district. And she's one of inspirations. And I just want to take Patricia Gomez, which she's our parent coordinator at the district. And now I'm so proud to be part of this parents and from part of the district, which is pleasure for me to serve the community, especially our kids, because they are our main influence and our main desire to be working for them, because we want the best for our kids, and we want the best for all Sonana kids and all Sonana families. Thank you so much, and thank you all.
You know, as I mentioned, I have a lot of surrogate mothers and fathers out in the community that really helped raise me, and it's exactly what we have behind us. Although I look a little shallow on the father's end, so we're going to have to challenge the fathers out there to see if they might be able to find a little bit of time to give back and donate as well, and I'm sure they do. These are the ones that we just recognized. But let me ask a father to step on up to speak as well. One of the gentlemen, come on up. En inglés, en español, no se importa, picaste.
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for giving us time. Mr. Roman Reina, I appreciate what you do with all the people. It's not just for me. It's just for all the parents who being here today. And then this is personally just 1 hour we'll be here, but behind us is 1,000 hours we invest on our kids in your school. So thank you, parents. Thank you, teachers. Thank you, principal, for giving this time and then bring us and the knowledge that we can give you some more time and more community time for all your school. So please believe in us. Most of the parents, you got nothing to do at home, but we have to do with you and your school. Invite us. Take our time. We have more for giving to you and your school, especially for your students. So thank you very much for all the parents. Thank you all for the all the counselors here, and you, Mr. Romano. Thank you very much for giving us this time. Thank you.
Ahora yo voy a hablar en español. ¿Es ok? Quiero darle gracias primero a Dios. Esto es algo nuevo para mí, es algo hermoso. Nunca trabajé para ganarme nada, siempre trabajé para defender a los niños, a mis hijos, y hoy me siento bendecido por haberme ganado este premio, y me di cuenta que cuando tú trabajas sin esperar nada a cambio, las cosas vienen por sí solas. El papá del año, créanme que yo nunca en mi vida pensé ganármelo, y tampoco pensé ganarme el héroe del vecindario, también me lo dieron. Y tampoco hace un rato acabo de recibir un diploma de soy el líder del grupo GRIP en mi escuela, y me dijo el oficial de Santana, el jefe de la policía, me dice, señor Oropesa, dice, usted se ha llevado todos los certificados este año. Le digo, créame que no sé ni cómo, pero he trabajado con amor para mi comunidad. Muchas gracias a todos.
I'm going to leave it with this. To me, the most valuable thing that we possess is our time. And you can see the people, and the individuals behind me, how they invest their time, and you can see their priority. To me, the biggest impact in a person's life is another caring human being, and that's exactly what we have behind us. We need to replicate this in our community. We need to have a volunteer program as well, so I'm going to challenge our city manager to do so. Join me one more time in giving them a round of applause. Thank you so very much. We'll go ahead and give the certificates right outside. Thank you. No, thank you.
She was at Santiago the other day. She's great. We miss her.
All right, while we're getting ready here, I want to direct our attention to the consent calendar. Ms. City Attorney, do we have anything to report out of closed session, please?
Mayor, council members, and members of the public, we do have two reportable items in our agenda. We have here listed as the Ahmed Qureshi case versus City of Santa Ana. The council
Can you speak up a little bit, please?
The council voted 6-0 to settle this matter for $40,000. And in the second case, the Madrigal versus City of Santa Ana. The city settled this case for $21,277.21 by a vote of 6-0 with Tina Harrow absent. That's all I have.
Thank you. And with that, I'm going to go to the city clerk because we have two members of the city council that I want us to join us at this time via teleconferencing. So if we can get Councilmember both Martinez and Tinajero on the phone at this time. And I just want to read and said that, you know, prior to any vote, we're going to clear the record, make sure that we're complying with all the regulations as it relates to teleconferencing. So as soon as they're on, I'm going to ask them 6 questions and we're going to get on with the meeting. And this is in accordance with all the procedures, special procedures required by the Brown Act. Are they on? Councilmember Martinez and Tinajero, are you there?
Yes.
Councilmember Martinez, are you there?
Yes, Mayor.
All right. Look, Sal was a little louder, Michelle. So I'm not going to do a contest here, but you got to speak up a little bit.
Yes, Mayor.
Thank you. I like that. Honorable Mayor. Okay, let's continue. Councilman Martinez, you can hear me. Councilman Tinajero, you can hear me. At this point, do you have a copy of the agenda in front of you?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
You're still not as loud as Sal, but I'll leave you alone. Is the agenda posted at the location where you're currently present?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Is your location reasonably accessible to the public, such that members of the public could attend if they chose to do so?
Yes.
Yes.
Is there any member of the public where you are currently present that would like to participate by making public comment or otherwise wish to address us?
No.
No.
Thank you. At this time, I just want to ask council members, anybody have any doubt that this is Councilor Martinez or Tinajero?
None. No doubt.
All right, no doubt. So now at this point, let's, Madam Clerk, we're just going to go ahead and proceed with our meeting. And because we're going to lose a quorum at 7:45, I already know that. We have, I believe, several council members that are leaving, some that are not here. I'm just going to go out of order into 2 items. One is going to be the item as it relates to the fiscal year 2015-16 city budget, and the other one is item 85A, which relates to Assembly Bill 2012. So I'm going to take those 2 out of order, then we're going to go with the rest of the meeting, and that way if we run out of time before 7:45, at least we will have done the most important business before us as it relates to the budget. So with that, I'm going to turn our attention to item 75A. And Madam Clerk, we've already had earlier a public hearing. We've closed it, and we've already had a presentation from staff. So may I just bring this before the council at this time?
Mayor?
Yes.
Can I just briefly go over the changes from the last meeting?
Please, let's do so.
Thank you, Mayor. So we have a very short presentation. Again, I want to thank the mayor and the city council for your leadership. And
Mr. Mayor, I lost reception.
Do you have it now, or are you permanently in lost reception mode?
Hello?
Sal? Madam Clerk, can we hang up on him and bring him back? Well, let's do that. He can't hear me anyways.
I'm still on the call, Mr. Mayor.
I know, you're good, but Sal can't hear anything.
Audio. Can you hear me, Mr. Mayor?
I can hear you, but you can't hear me from what I understand.
Okay, I could hear you, but when the city manager began to speak, for some reason I couldn't hear
All right, look.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay.
All right, we all need to speak up. Let's
you.
proceed. Thank you for that.
So again, thank you to the mayor, member of city council, Mayor Pro Tem, and especially the community, all the employees. On June the 2nd, we'll go to the first slide. We did present the city manager's proposed budget after many outreach meetings and briefings, and I did take to heart, of course, and listen very carefully items that were suggested for adjustments at the June 16th meeting. And if everything is approved tonight, then July 7th would be the final reading. And of course, we do have a surplus that we're planning on, and we know that we're going to have a retreat to focus on priorities, and that will help very much with the idea that that surplus will be allocated in October. So changes from the last meeting, suggestions, topics of discussion was to include monies in the budget to pay for well-deserved cost of living adjustments for our employees. Mr. Mayor, you asked that we do improvements in the planning and building agency. We added a principal planner and a senior planner. The good news is that because our volumes are up, we're able to get more revenue to pay for that, so we've added that to the budget. Councilwoman Martinez and others asked that we put in money for wayfinding to complete the wayfinding project, $150,000, and also money for economic development. We do have a plan that will be coming before the council, and there will be more money available to implement the plan. And then we do receive a lot of public records requests, and we've added $50,000 to help with that project. And so the total of the changes, about $3,198,000. We did eliminate the labor relations managers. We did exclude the deletion of the personnel services specialists. Those are non-general funds, but we did follow up on that. So those were the changes. On page 4 is a balanced budget according to our charter, according to our fiscal policy. Includes all the items that were discussed of $225 million and $813,258. We're asking, Mayor, for the adoption of the proposed budget with those changes.
Thank you for that presentation, Ms. City Manager. As I indicated earlier, we already had our public hearing at the previous council meeting before we continued the item. So at this point, I would just like to open it up for a discussion, and I'm really hoping if there's a motion for approval. In my opinion, staff has done a good job at listening to us and integrating many of the things that were discussed recently. Are there any thoughts, Mayor Pro Tem?
Mr. Mayor, I was just going to say, out of courtesy to our colleagues who aren't here, can we give them the opportunity to speak first? And then
do you have any comments, either Michelle or Vin or Sal? Sorry.
No, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
I do have a couple of comments.
Go ahead.
There were two things that were left out specifically was the, I know Councilman Sarmiento mentioned $150,000 specifically for South Main Street. And as well, Councilman Benavides mentioned the stuff for the brandy, and none of that was included, Mr. City Manager. So I'm not sure if you could address that right now.
Go ahead, please, Mr. City Manager.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Martinez. We did add $150,000 to the budget. It's included in the changes. And as far as the branding goes, we would ask that that money, the general plan money, be part of the allocation of the surplus. And we expect over $10 million, so it can be done then.
And Councilor Benavides is shaking his head yes on that, Councilor Martinez.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
Councilmember Martinez, I know that I had an opportunity to speak with our Director of Finance earlier, and what he explained to me, because there was some confusion on my behalf, and that's on South Main. I wanted to make sure that there was.
Hello?
Can you hear us?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can explain that.
All right, let's speak up.
Mr.
Go ahead.
City Manager, go ahead. If you
Thank you so much, Mayor Pro Tem. Yes, we did go back and look and reaffirm that there's actually $50,000 a year in the strategic plan. That money's already in the budget, and that is for items like South Main, primarily South Main. So there is approximately $225,000 going forward for that item.
Thank you, and that's what I was going to mention, that was clarified by our Director of Finance on that, so thank you.
All right, Councilor Mezcua, did you have a comment?
I was going to say I'd like to second. We have a motion to second.
So we have that.
Okay, I'm still not finished with discussion, and just for clarification purposes, Mr. City Manager, if you could explain your merit bonus pay or performance pay for your executive managers. In there, you're asking for 2.5 to 7.5%. When you do the evaluation for your executive managers, you're asking us for authority based on the resolution that is presented there. I just want to state for the record then I am not supportive of that because it's not equitable when we're asking and we're giving all our employees 2.5, and you have the authority to give up to 7.5% to your executive manager. So at this given time, I will not be able to be supportive of that because I don't believe that it's equitable across the board. And secondly, I would not be supportive of the water transfer, the funds for the water transfer to the general fund.
Councilman Martinez, would you be in favor for voting for the balance of the budget if I ask the clerk to note those two exceptions?
Yes.
Okay.
Mayor, can I?
Please go ahead.
They're not really related to this. So as far as the item that the councilwoman mentioned, that was brought to you several months ago. There was an executive management ordinance. In that ordinance, they talked about the bonus program for executives, pay for performance. That was approved. I believe Councilwoman Martinez voted against that. We're not asking for that today. What we're recommending is that cost of living adjustments across the board could be available for all the different units at 2.5%. And we have not even discussed any kind of increases with the managers. But if the council approved later on a cost of living increase, it would be limited to 2.5%.
Is that clear, Councilor Martinez?
Yes.
Okay. So any other comment by council members? Councilor Benavides, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I do want to thank also Councilwoman Martinez for bringing up the item that we've been discussing for some time on the opportunities to be more intentional about branding and messaging in the city. We did have the conversation. I do anticipate that we will be able to allocate some funds and be strategic about that. Gives us a little bit of time between now and the time that we potentially identify a surplus for council to come together and identify other priorities where we can allocate further funds. So I'm looking forward to taking that opportunity to really highlight internally and externally all that the advances that the city is making. Speaking of advances, one of the things just in general, and thinking also of potential allocation of funds towards the future, we've made some improvements some years ago in some areas of need and challenge within the cities. Hotspot areas or task forces that we've put together some years back. Within the strategic plan, we've identified them, I believe, as neighborhood improvement initiative areas. And as we move forward, I just want to make sure that we continue to emphasize the collaboration, cross-collaboration of the different departments, agencies, along with other community partners, and that we look at ways to allocate funds to be able to support those efforts of improvements we've built in the past. Playgrounds, we've had personnel from different agencies, including PD, Parks and Recreation, and others, to be able to support those improvements. We're seeing a lot of positive things in other areas, in the area of economic development and the main place in our downtown, and we just always have to make sure to keep in mind those other areas. Specifically, I bring that up because as of late, and I have experienced this personally in my own neighborhood, Town Street, there have been some flare-ups when it comes to gang activity. So we need to make sure to not lose sight of the advances that we've made. If we take for granted the improvements we've made, we could potentially take some steps back. So just a mention that I want to make sure that's on our radar. And just in general, park improvements, I know we have some funds for deferred maintenance, which is a great thing. We are also talking about identifying new spaces for parks. Want to make sure that we continue to move in that direction. And more specifically, as one of the things is we're elected to represent the community and to bring our own perspective and personal experience as residents. That's the whole idea of this, the whole process, democratic process, right? We're served to represent the community, particularly because we also are members and live in the community. So one of the things that I've been seeing more and more is as my young son in mid-elementary school has taken up skateboarding. We have one skate park in the city. We go and visit a number of others in other parts of the county and outside the county. And I just see opportunity where these skate parks are small spaces. They don't require a whole lot, large fields, but yet there's a lot of use. and it doesn't require staff time or staffing either to do organized sports and that type of thing. And it's something that we're getting more with the city, with as dense and active as we are when it comes to young people. I think that's just, we can leverage that and put more of our youth, get them more active and positive things. And just when it comes to policy and the way we approach them, hopefully there will be more on our more skate parks developed, and that we will look at creatively at other models. But I want to make sure that policy-wise, the way we monitor them, that we don't make it more difficult for our youth. I know there's been some discussion about having staffing and having additional requirements at other areas and cities don't necessarily require. And if we make it more stringent, more difficult, we're going to it's sort of, again, taking steps back. So just some points I want to put on your radar to our Director of Parks and Recreation for us to continue discussing. Overall, I will be supporting the budget as presented and proposed. Thank you for making the adjustment.
Thank you. Any additional comment? If not, I have a couple comments. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just very briefly, I wanted to thank staff as well. And I see that the way the adjustments were made, they were made pursuant to the comments that were done on June 2nd. And I like the fact that behind our public safety efforts that we're putting 70% close both between police and fire. The next increment or the next allocation is large allocation is being made to Parks and Rec, so that's a very good thing. What I did want to say is I want to thank the Councilmember Martinez, for talking about wayfinding economic development. The only thing I would say going forward is whenever we go above the COLA, I think maybe we need to have a conversation about attaching it to some merit or performance-based criteria, milestones, or thresholds that are met. So I like what was said in the resolution, where we tie these increases to some achievement. So, to the extent that we can continue to do that across the board, both for our executives and for our staff, that's something I think that you're moving us in that direction, Mr. City Manager. That's the trend that the country is going in. We want to do that because although we know sometimes these COLA adjustments are sort of de facto, anything above and beyond that I think should be tied to some, again, some criteria and some merit-based criteria.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and members of City Council. We really are grateful to the council, all the employees, for the cost of living adjustments, but we do understand the need to have incentives and performance-based models, and we'll be working very closely with the labor movement leaders and our management, and of course the council, to come back with ways to ensure that performance.
Thank you. Councilman Reyna, please.
I'm going to keep it brief. Again, I just want to thank City Manager and staff for putting together a great proposal with our budget. A lot of growth moving forward, which is definitely changing for our community. One of the things that we put into the budget that most people have been asking about is the body cameras as we move forward in that direction. So we're starting to take steps and moving in that direction, which I think is going to be fantastic for our police force and for our community at large. And I just want to thank everybody out there for the great work they're doing.
Thank you. And right before I call for the vote, I want to just mention that I think we should all take a moment and remember that we were about to vote on this 2 weeks ago. And after some discussion, we decided to continue it for 2 weeks. I think this budget is significantly better. You could say that in the grand scheme of things, the changes are not that dramatic, but they will impact the city, I think, in a significant way. In particular, when I look at the Department of Building and Planning, where right now we're just very, very backlogged, and with more activity coming, I think that was a very, very wise decision that we made to continue it 2 weeks, to give direction, to have that direction incorporated, and to now to be able to move forward. I want to make sure we don't take any steps back on anything, in particular as it relates to public safety. And I believe that this budget, in my opinion, just has one weakness, so I'm going to vote against the portion of the 2.5. I don't think we need that, but I'm supportive of the overall budget and the rest of that. I also want to mention that I really, really hope, and I know the city manager has said we're coming back in the fall, and I know we're doing things for parks, but look, if we can do more for the community, and by that I mean deferred maintenance and more programming at parks and more activities at parks, that's, very, very much a needed activity. I believe we should do things such as looking at Cabrillo Tennis Center and maybe adding those 2 tennis courts that we were going to do a few years ago and then we didn't. Now is a good opportunity to do that. I also think, let's try to do a couple skate parks. Do it at city facilities potentially. And look, there's different types of skate parks, and I agree with Councilor Benavides that if we do it right, it doesn't require a whole lot of additional expenditure. And go look at the one at Venice, for example. It's a beautiful park, and it's a little bit more, like a swimming pool type of, contours and a lot of very active use. And, there's so many, kids and boys and girls that like that type of activity. Different folks, strokes for different folks. Some like soccer, some like tennis, some like basketball, some like, photography, some like art, some like, skate parks. We need the variety. And so I really urge us to come back and vote and bring something back before us at that time. Councilor Mesco, do you want to speak again? Or
I just wanted to
go
add
ahead.
something. I know we'll be coming back in the fall, but I do want to reiterate, I know at our last meeting we talked about Riverview Park, and I do hope that in the fall we do some specific allocation of money for that park, because I know it's a very park that's, the Santa Ana Pony League plays there, and a high-density park. We need to take a look at that. Thank you.
All right, so with all...
Yes, Mr. Mayor, because some people like baseball.
Sorry did I miss baseball, Sal?
Miss baseball.
No, I think I said soccer. If I didn't, then sometimes when I said football, it can be football or it can be football. And so that covers both. So with that, those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Mayor, we need to take a roll call vote.
Okay.
Conference. Councilmember Martinez? Councilmember
Yes.
Martinez? Councilmember Tinajero?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Sarmiento?
Yes.
Mayor Polito?
Yes.
Councilmember Benavides?
Yes.
Councilmember Reyna?
Yes.
Councilmember Amezcua?
Yes.
Thank you.
And you noted the specific objections, mine on 2.5 and the 2 that Councilman Martinez had. Okay, thank you. So
Mayor,
with that,
just-
now let's go on to, because I don't want to lose anybody, and so far we're doing pretty good, but let's just go on to item 85A, please. I know I've got some thoughts on that, and so do others. Let's start with Councilmember Amezcua.
Thank you, Mayor. I brought this item forward because I think as a director, it's my responsibility to keep you apprised of the developments as that relate to AB 1217 as it moves forward. I'm going to start with a timeline just to give you a little bit of background. Shortly after I was appointed the director to OCFA, I was contacted by Assemblyman Daly, and we had a discussion about him bringing forward this bill. There was no language or details discussed. I did say that the City of Santa Ana is always willing to consider improvements to the operations of the board. On February 27th, the bill was introduced. On March 28th, the OCFA Executive Committee directed staff to solicit input from member agencies. On April 23rd, the board adopted an opposition based on 21 cities formally voting to oppose. On May 13th, there was a hearing at Local Assembly Government Committee, and it was presented to the committee as a district issue, which in turn made it seem like Santa Ana was bringing the bill forward, but I did speak to my colleagues, my predecessors on the board, and none of us really did approach Assemblymember Daly to ask him to bring the bill forward. So I did want to clarify that. On May 12th, Assemblymember Daly said there would be amendments coming. On June 9th, the amendments were presented, but we still are left with cities losing their seats. So it's basically the cities in South County, a lot of which are donor cities that will be losing their seats, are not, for obvious reasons, are opposed to this bill. And I do have to say that since I've been on the board as of January, I haven't seen a great deal of gridlock. We've met quorums. I think, based on surveys, the OCFA maintains a 97% approval rating. We handle an average of 3,000 calls per day. And I don't know what my colleagues how we want to move forward. But I do have some suggestions that I want to bring to you. I do think, well, obviously one of the options is to do nothing. But I hope that's not what we do. I think in looking at the best interest of our city, it would be beneficial for our legislative committee to take a look at it to make sure that our best interests are covered with this bill. I did also send everybody a letter from the League of Cities that was shared with me, and they also took an opposition to this bill because the Joint Powers Agreement actually allows us to reconfigure the board if we so choose to do so. So I also asked staff to draft a letter to Assemblymember Daley, just respectfully asking him to continue meeting with the chair and discussing ways in which some of the issues can be addressed. And I know in the past the board has had some challenges, but since I've been on the board, I really can't say that I've seen a lot of gridlock or dysfunction with the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
I want to follow the lead of our councilwoman. She has been working at this. She's been diligent about it. So I want to state that for the record. And she's done her due diligence. So I want to follow her lead here. I need to leave the meeting. I don't know if you've watched the weather, but Dallas got hit pretty hard right now. We're getting a direct hit from a small little hurricane that came off of the coast. And so that's kind of changed the schedule up for me here with my students. But I am going to have to dismiss myself.
Well, thank you for joining us thus far, and in particular, thank you for joining us on the budget. That was a very important vote, Councilmember Tinajero. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. So, Michelle, you're still there?
Yes, Mayor, but I have to get off the phone in about 20 minutes.
All right, well, hopefully we'll be done with this discussion by then. But look, if you're in a different city without a hurricane, let us know. But if you're in the same city and you have a hurricane, you have to go, we understand. So with that, let me make a comment, if I may. And let me state that I know that there's not been a lot of dysfunction since January, but there's been not much coming to OCFA since January. Some of the problems we've had in the past have been over the last few years, and I know that Councilor Tinajero and for a period of time, I know we had Reina there, and in the past, since we first took over, we've had other members. And I will tell you that the large number of cities and the way they conduct business, when you have real issues, it's real hard to get it done. And so before this even went to Assemblymember Tom Daley, mainly, some of us in Santa Ana and also in the city of Irvine, we sought a change on that board, and we try to make it smaller, more manageable, maybe 17 members, something similar to OCTA, which is a fairly large board and it handles the entire county. And we knew from the get-go that many of the South County cities, most of which are on that board, would not like any change that you want to make, especially if they believe it's going to favor the larger cities. And frankly, if you look at Santa Ana, and you look at Irvine, and you look at the number of personnel that we require and the issues that we have, that's why several of us went to Assemblyman Daley and said, please carry this bill and please move it forward. And the amendment that it now has, I think, is a good compromise, which allows smaller cities to serve. They're just going to have to rotate so that the board is diminished in size. And so I today believe it is best that we move forward and that we do so today. And the reason being, this bill is up in the Assembly as we speak. It's going through committees. If we were to send it to the Ledge Committee and do our normal process, we're going to miss the cycle, and yet we are one of the strong advocates of it. So I'd rather have an up or down vote today. And so, for that reason I think it's important that we move forward. And so for purpose of discussion, I don't know if Councilor Benavides or Reyna are listening, but for purpose of discussion, I think it's important we take an action today. So I will move that we go and take a support position of Assembly Bill 1217 in its current amended form. That's my motion.
I just do want to clarify that even with the amendments, there are still a lot of cities that will be losing their seats, and a lot of these are donor cities which contribute to the Structural Fire Fund, which is the majority of the budget. And a lot of them are actually looking at forming committees, just exploratory committees, to see if they can get out eventually. I mean, not in the near future, but leave the OCFA, which in turn might affect our. If some cities leave, especially the donor cities, it will affect us.
And Irvine may leave, especially if we don't get this bill through. And they're the biggest city. So I have a motion to approve as amended.
So, question I have for City Attorney, as far as the action that we can take tonight, the way that the item on the agenda is listed is a discussion and then looking at options options to represent the city of Santa Ana's position. So the idea or the motion on the floor, which is to take a position of supporting the bill, that's within the purview of what we can do tonight.
Can I add something really quick? I know even Irvine did not take a position to support. They remain neutral. I just want to clarify that for the record.
Please.
Yeah, for purposes of the Brown Act, your agenda description would allow you to take the action that's represented in the motion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam City Attorney. I just wanted to make some comments. I did have an opportunity to serve on the Orange County Fire Authority when we first joined the authority and transferred our fire protection service to Orange County Fire Authority. And it's the experience as a whole. The organization is a very strong, solid organization that's been providing, I believe, quality service to the residents of our community. When it comes to decisions being made and the board itself, I must admit that it was at times a challenging and experience. Sometimes somewhat it was difficult to get to reach consensus. Sometimes like molasses, trying to get some significant action to be taken by that large of a body. At the end of the day, what we have here before us is an opportunity, even though change is always going to be difficult, especially if somebody is considering or may end up losing a seat. And I'm sure that if we were in the position where if we might be losing a seat on a representation on a board, regional board, we would likely take a position, a role of opposition, which it's understandable that some might take that role. In this case, the assembly bill that's being presented, our assembly member, I think, has gotten wind and has received information and feedback that for the areas that he represents, including the city of Santa Ana, it would be of benefit to be able to streamline and create a better functioning board for the Orange County Fire Authority. At the end of the day, I think it would directly benefit the city of Santa Ana and our representation and our influence there as the largest contract city. Therefore, I would be seconding the motion. I do think that at the end of the day, it would be of benefit. I know that it's somewhat of a there are pros and cons, and Councilwoman Amezcua did present one of the sides, but I do think that at the end of the day, it would be something that would directly benefit our city.
Thank you. Do we have additional comment? Councilman Reyna, please.
Yes. I too recently had served on that particular board, and I had experienced the transformation as we went from a very challenging board with a lot of very challenges, things that I just weren't possible to occur, but unfortunately we were in a very bad place. We started to turn the corner on that particular board and started to move in a better direction. So I've seen the good and the bad and the ugly, and it very is challenging. First time I heard that somebody on our end actually approached him for this recommendation or moving in that direction. I know that Sal didn't, I didn't. So I was just brand new to me. I just heard that aspect of it right now. Because several of us have sat on that board, we have firsthand knowledge, but I don't think the rest of our colleagues have had that experience. I don't know if this is time sensitive. I know it is going through the process right now, but directing it to the legislative committee, giving that body an opportunity to go through this particular information and digest it and see what's the best approach for the city to move forward, I think is the best approach, because people serving on that committee have not served on the Fire Authority Board and may not have privy to certain information before we make a hasty decision. Again, this is talking about our safety as we move forward, and we want to make sure that that's first and foremost as we move forward.
I do want to add, Mayor, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
That, since we've been on the board since 2012, and I think we've had 4 directors since 2012, and I know Assemblymember Daley pointed to the turnover rate of cities. I think, just for the record, we've had a big turnover rate, and I know, as election cycles go through, sometimes there is a big turnover when people are termed out, but for the most part, some of the board members there have been serving for quite a while. I can't say exactly off the top of my head how many years, but I know, for example, the Rancho Santa Margarita Board of Directors, she's been there, I think, since the board began.
Thank you for that. Mayor Pro Tem?
My recommendation would be to have the legislative committee send it to them and have them take a close look at it, just for the responsible thing to do to make sure that our best interests are taken into account, or the city's best interests. And, we don't need to, it's going through the process, but I think it's good to take a step back to make sure that we're...
Well, look, I have a different answer, but let me first listen to Mayor Pro Tem.
Is there a motion?
Is that a motion?
I'd like to make a motion
a
to send it.
substitute motion, okay.
All right. Thank you, Councilwoman, and thank you for serving now, because I think I'm probably one of the few that hasn't served on that board. But I have had colleagues that have sat with me on other regional boards that have said that it's just logistically a very difficult board to manage because you have so many cities. So I would say, though, I do agree with you that I wish there would have been better communication from the assembly member who authored the bill, because I haven't sat down and spoken with him. And normally what happens with these sensitive bills, especially when there's an anchor city representing, that they're representing, they sit down and kind of go through some of the issues, especially since this impacts the city. I don't have a problem with it coming to the legislative committee as chair, and I know the councilwoman on the phone sits with me on that. I don't have a problem with it. I think that's where it should go, although I am concerned about what the mayor said, which is that there are some time sensitivities. And a lot of times if we're gathered here as a group, look, we may come to different conclusions, as you and Councilmember Benavides have, because you both served on it, and you both have different opinions about its efficiencies and its effectiveness. So what I would say is, if there are no time sensitivities, let's take it to the Leg Committee. If there are time sensitivities, I'd rather we just go ahead and deliberate tonight. What I would say is that, look, we represent the residents of Santa Ana, not the residents of South County. And so we have to make sure that, to the extent that they're going to be, they may be harmed in this process, in their opinion, I think we have to make sure that we provide the best results for our residents. And I think if we're helping create a more effective board, if we're helping to make sure that Santa Ana's position is not diminished in any way, then I think that, right now my lean is towards what little I know of the bill, and I think staff can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if the Leg Committee's ever taken a position on this bill, and I don't think we have, because I'm not sure if the request was to change our support position to oppose, or whether we're being asked to just review it in general. But right now, my leaning is towards the model that we already have at OCTA, because it just seems to make more sense. And I see the staff, Mark, do you know if we've taken a position on 1217? Can you answer that very quickly for me? On the daily bill that we're discussing?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, we did take a position in the city. It was about a month ago.
And it was a support position,
absolutely
correct?
In support of 1217.
So in that sense, I think that if we have had an opportunity to go ahead and discuss it, it's gone to the committee, to send it back to the committee again, I guess because it's been amended, maybe there might be some new information, but I certainly am going to show deference to you to explain what those changes are, that if they're persuasive, look, we've got the whole council here. Let's listen to those. And, if, you've got a motion on the table, let's listen to what those compelling arguments are.
As far as it being time sensitive, I tried to find out if there was a specific date when it was going to be heard, for the hearing for I think it's the committee that's going to hear it next. They don't have a specific date yet. So I know that the legislative committee will be meeting on June 24th, correct? Oh, it's been canceled. Okay. Well, is there a way to have a special meeting to take a look at it?
From the legislative committee or the city council?
Mayor?
Yes.
I think the councilwoman is referring to the legislative committee, and that's at the discretion of the chair.
Oh, okay.
And again, I think that we're gathered here. I'm not sure how much new information could be brought to us at a ledge committee meeting that might be persuasive. Many times that we've deliberated on bills in the ledge committee, we come back to the council just to make sure that they get ratified. We can't do anything in committee except make a recommendation. But again, I think we're all gathered here with the exception of Councilmember
Hey,
Tinajero.
folks, I have to go, and I'm breaking up. If you guys want me to vote on this, you guys can call for the question now.
Well, there's a motion on the table, Councilmember. You've been listening to this discussion. Why don't you go ahead and I'll see.
Do you have any comments, Michelle? If not, I'd like to vote down the substitute motion, go back to my original motion, because I think this is time sensitive. Go ahead.
No, I'm asking you to call for the question.
All right, let me just make one comment then to the motion, if I may. I would request that we vote down the substitute motion. I don't see any compelling argument. I don't see any new evidence. I see that there's some South County small cities that are very nice people. We love them. We work with them. But they're never going to be happy, no matter what amendments we come up with, unless we leave it alone. And the way it is today, they're going to say no matter what. And I know it's tough for our councilwoman to be there on that board when you have probably 16 or 20 people all voting a different way and all saying, why are you here and why aren't you with us? But look, we have to look out for Santa Ana. And the way the board is constituted right now, we have as much voice or as much power as a Rancho Santa Margarita, for example. And they may even have more because they've been there longer and they know the system better than we do. By making it a smaller board, it will give more power to those that have a permanent seat, and this bill will give Santa Ana a permanent voice, a permanent seat. It'll give us a bigger seat at the table, and we need that. And I would argue we deserve that. We represent a lot more people than some of the smaller cities that are on that board. And this is time sensitive because they are looking for dates. It is moving through the process. We supported it earlier, and if we right now blink or say, well, we think we're going to talk about it some more, we'll be sending a very dangerous signal to Sacramento that I frankly think could really harm the bill. And I don't want to send that signal. So with that, those on the substitute motion that are in favor?
I just do want to note one last thing. The League of Cities did oppose it, and I think because it is setting a precedent if the bill does pass, where state government would come in and interfere with local government. We do have a joint powers agreement that allows us to reconfigure.
With all due respect, they also opposed when we changed the board on OCTA. They were in opposition to that one as well. And today we have a better board at OCTA that better serves Santa Ana. So with that, those in favor of the substitute motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? No.
No.
4 noes. Now we go back to the original motion. Those in favor, please say aye.
No.
Aye.
Aye.
Let's do a roll call on the original motion.
Yes. Roll call vote. Councilmember Martinez?
So who? This is the original. This is Mayor Polito?
Yes.
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 Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Sarmiento?
Yes.
Mayor Polito?
Yes.
Councilmember Benavides?
Aye.
Councilmember Reyna? Councilmember Amezcua?
No.
Motion passes 4-2. So with that, Madam Clerk, if I can have comments from the audience, we'll go to public comment. Councilman Martinez, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being there, and I know you'll do a great job. I know you're on the board of NALEO. I hear about it from mayors across the country that you're very active, and I know you'll be joined by several of our colleagues. As a matter of fact, in a few minutes, I think our city manager is going to be on a plane, our city attorney, our mayor pro tem. Soon after that, Councilman Benavides, are you going as well? Tomorrow morning, but I think we're going to lose somebody else as well.
Okay,
Roman
well,
Reign, I
fantastic.
think,
look
is going
forward
on
to
a
seeing
plane
all of you
tonight.
tomorrow.
So they'll all be with you within a few hours.
All right, fantastic. Okay.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening and take care.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Dylan Thompson, if you're on 25, well, let me do this. As I take your comment, let me just see if there's any other questions on the balance of the consent calendar. And if there are not, I will go ahead and call for a vote on that, and then I'll call on you for 25G. Are there any items on the consent calendar that council members wish to poll or vote no on?
I'll move the consent calendar.
Okay, we have a motion. With everything except item 25G. Motion is second. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Dylan Thompson, sir, would you like to please speak to us about item 25G? That's housing for federal inmates.
Thank you. Good evening, Council, Mayor. I'm here to talk tonight on behalf of the Orange County Mayday Coalition. I know we've met with a few of you, and just for any of you guys that we haven't had a chance to have a sit-down meeting with, just to restate our opposition to the use of the jail as an immigration detention center. And it's for the following reasons. One being an ethical reason, second being a local use and financial reason, and then finally a public safety issue. So the first being an ethical issue, I mean, we can see that ICE hasn't had the best record as far as human rights goes. I mean, they had a secure communities program that claimed to target only criminals, but they admitted that that's not actually the reality of what happened and canceled the program because it wasn't performing as they wanted to. And because it turns out the program was really targeting hardworking people and separating families and treating refugees like criminals. So, I mean, your own legislative platform, you want to have immigration reform. So, I mean, so for the way that ICE has treated people in the past, it was unethical, and they've admitted that their programs have not performed the way they wanted them to. Secondly, the local use issue is that the vast majority of the use of the jail is just for outside institutions. It's for ICE, it's for the Bureau of Prisons, it's for Tustin, Irvine, and Fountain Valley, it's for U.S. Marshals. So, I mean, we're not even getting that much value out of it. The main local function is for a quick booking mechanism, which is good. It allows officers to get book people and then go back on their beat so they can provide public safety for the city. But the thing is that, I mean, this jail has been running multi-million-dollar deficits for years. And I know that according to one of the last public safety meetings, we saw a presentation where it was said that the deficit, the operational deficit, is only in the range of hundreds of thousands of dollars. But the truth is, I mean, look at the city benefit. The city, it says that the jail gives the city benefit of around $7 million, but that is still money spent.
Please, if you could conclude, Dylan.
Okay, finally, just for the last point, Ray Davis, the old police chief, refused to work with the INS to do sweeps because he recognized that it was a public safety issue. Because if the public has a perception that the police are working with immigration, this gigantic and very important part of our community won't collaborate with the police. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, item 25G, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I do have a question.
Please
for
go
staff,
ahead.
And I wanted to call upon our city manager because I know I've had the same concerns as the speaker just had. And Mr. City Manager, if you can walk us through what our function is with ICE and talk us through also the economic background and context to this issue, and also to give us maybe, going into the future, what our hopes are for this facility, that hopefully we maybe get out of this business and maybe we can outsource it and it goes to a third party and this issue becomes moot, because I know we don't have a policy, and this is according to our chief as well, in conversations we've had, we don't do that with our folks that we detain, just turn them over to the ICE. So,
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I first of all want to thank the speaker. We've met before, and he's a gentleman, and we've had productive discussions. For the last year and a half, our first order of business was to make sure that we stop subsidizing the jail operation, and we've had a cost recovery for the federal Bureau of Prison, U.S. Marshals, and Immigration. We also have some surrounding jail contracts. Directly to your point, we do some quick booking, as he referenced, but we don't house any Santa Ana arrestees in this facility. They actually can go to the county for free as part of a county program. So for the first time in many years, we actually will be cost recovery with this increase, about 28% increase. I do want to emphasize to the council and to the viewing public that we have a 90-day cancellation clause. So any point in time with 9 days notice, we can no longer be involved in this contract. Unfortunately, we do have a lot of employees. We have debt, we have operations, and so we're not recommending it now. But we do think that now that we're cost recovery, and we have made some provisions for efficiencies, that we have greater options going forward. And one of the options is to go ahead and see if we can outsource this jail for purposes other than city government, not be involved in the administration, and we'll be working on that in this year.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Based upon that, I'll be supportive of the motion, because I know many of us, including the chair of the Public Safety Committee, went out to lobby in D.C. to have this increase implemented, and with the help and support of city staff and our advocate in Washington, we were able to accomplish this. We were subsidizing this to the tune of many, many hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I think now we're at a point where hopefully it's flat and we're not making much cost recovery, but there's some, and at least it's not operating at a loss, but it puts us in a position to have many more alternatives, like to get out of the business of running a jail like this. So with
before I take a second, we vote, we have Madam Clerk gave me another speaker, Jason Avila, also on 25G. If you could please step forward. And remember, orange is the new yellow, or yellow is the new red.
Greetings, Council. My name is Jason Awula. A lot of people, the U usually gets mistaken for a V. But,
sorry, man. I thought it was bad penmanship. My apologies.
No problem. It happens all the time. But, I wanted to come up and say that, from my experiences doing some lobbying and political work in Long Beach, the city council there gave a statement that said they can't make ordinances that violate federal law. And, as far as I'm concerned, there's a federal law that states it's a crime to aid and abet illegal immigrants. And, I just wanted to notate that because, ICE is just, doing their job. And I think law enforcement really has a tough task at hand. And, when you look at, the municipal government should be benefiting taxpayers. And, illegal immigrants, from my perspective, don't pay their fair share, and I don't appreciate someone coming up here advocating to violate federal law. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, please.
As chairman of the Public Safety Committee, I thought it would be important to make comment. I did participate in a trip some months back, it was last year sometime, to have meetings in Washington, D.C. with several representatives of different agencies, as well as some of our representatives, our state representatives out there. One of the agencies that we did have a conversation was with Homeland Security, with reference to the agreement that we have pursuant to our current our jail and our contract there. What this item represents here is a 28% increase. At the end of the day, we want to make sure to have as close to full cost recovery as we can, and increase that if at all possible. It is a financial decision with regard to what's on the agenda here specifically. In the long run, I think what is in the best interest of of the city is for us to reevaluate whether we should be in the business based on the feedback and information that the city manager just stated. It's consistent with the position of the council, which is that ultimately we don't. But we do need to reevaluate that, and specifically Homeland Security and even more specifically the Immigration and Customs Enforcement. There is the questions that were posed or comments that were posed by the first speaker are valid points and questions with regard to our community here in Santa Ana. 50% of our community is born in another country. Some of the people in the city may be hesitant to collaborate with our own police department and law enforcement and public safety if there is a sense of fear. Ultimately, we are very proactive about having positive community relationships with the residents and different community groups. Again, at the end of the day, we want to be able to consider the public safety overall of our community, and to that end, I think in the long run, we have recognized that we need to move gradually away from some of the operations that we have at our jail facility. However, our fiduciary responsibility as well is to make sure that we are solvent and that we're solid economically. And so for that reason, because this represents an increase to the funds that we will recover from the federal government, I will be supporting this item as well. Seconded.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Any more comment? Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Madam Clerk and City Attorney, is there another vote that requires 5 votes? Because if so, I'd rather bring it forward and try to get Councilman Moreno back and take that up. Is there any other vote? 55A or B or anything else?
Maria?
Let me just take them up, just because it says here we have to vote, 5-2, et cetera, but maybe that's just an example of the fact that you have to read out the roll call. So given that, look, let me just take it up real quick and we'll continue with more public comment. Item 55-8, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
So moved.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carries unanimously, Madam Clerk. For the record, item 55B, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carries unanimously with 5 votes and 2 absent. I believe that's it for all our city business. Can I now just go on with public comment that we already began? So let me continue with that. Sam Romero, are you still here? It says Samuel Romero.
Keep your heart out.
And it's good handwriting. Did you write this, Sam?
Ever since I was born.
But this is your writing.
Yes. Is that okay?
It's good penmanship. Did you get a good grade in school?
No.
Yeah.
Have you improved over time?
Yes, I did.
You did get a good grade in penmanship.
Yeah.
Probably got an A. This looks like you had assistance.
You're not counting my time?
Not yet. Now you're on. Go ahead. You're
listen,
on.
I'm here for some help on behalf here of Santa Business Council. Ray Rangel, that you honored 2 weeks ago, also said, say a couple of words on my behalf. What we need is some help from you folks, okay? In the sense that maybe the city manager, maybe the chief of police can meet with us in the downtown business area, the furniture store. It has to do with what happened on the 6th of June, and it wasn't D-Day in Normandy, happened in downtown Santa Ana on 4th Street. What happened took place, some kind of a 3-block area of some kind of celebration that it looked like might be a marijuana festival. Most everybody was smelling the stuff up and down the block. People at the furniture store, they had to close the doors. They couldn't stand the smell. The DJs were playing so loud, every second or third was the F word, okay? In Northgate Market, there's a couple in there doing sexual activity where the public could see them. They put up an argument when they were being kicked out. In a sense, what we need maybe to get together with the folks here, like I mentioned, the city manager, chief of police, and maybe some of the council members, to come up with some standards, okay? If we're going to have something public, it must be acceptable when you bring in your children. You guys, whoever has children, would never have gone down there on 4th Street and saw what was happening there. It was really a mess. I mean, it seems like the word is out in the county of Orange and all over. Anything goes in the downtown. This really ruined our reputation. We need some help from you guys. We got to meet with you guys and come up with some standards. There was no visible police. We need police there. There was no visible organizers there that could complain. It used to be where Mike McCoy used to be in his little scooter. People would complain to him. He would take care of the item. Nothing. It was a mess. The surrounding community, the residential areas, were calling the Mr. and Mrs. Arellanes at the furniture store thinking that we were putting that fiesta on. It was not us. Explain to them. People are really, really concerned about that, so really need your help. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam, and I think the city manager heard your comments and will follow up. Paul Luces, I believe, followed by John Lucas, followed by John Brian Lee. Brian Lee. Are you Paul or John? Go ahead, Paul. John, are you around? Just come to, you got it. You're set to go. After that, Marilyn Thomas. Please go ahead, Paul.
Good evening, Councilman Mayor. I'm just here to speak about Measure BB and the events shortly ago has been making the news. I just strongly urge you to scrap BB. You know, throw it in the trash can, start over, because it's just going to get worse, and these problems are going to get even worse. It's so bad, you just got to scrap it all and start over. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your brief remarks. I think you ought to give classes or something, lessons on how to make an effective comment. Please, John, come on forward, followed by Marilyn Thomas.
Can I have these brought to the...
Absolutely. Give them to the clerk, please.
One picture can start at one end, a picture can go back and forth, one of these, take each of them.
You got it. There's only 5 of us right now, so it made it a little easier. Go ahead, John.
Whatever happens. Councilman, Mayor, my name is John Brierly. I'm here to address a couple problems of the neighborhoods surrounding the proposed location of the Salvation Army temporary emergency shelter at 1710 West Edinger still need to be resolved. First, I would like to commend the Salvation Army for their hard work to meet the demands of the surrounding neighborhoods. See the blue sheet, please. There remains one really crucial part to agree upon, and that has not fully been explained or finalized. And that is, what if this does cause a serious problem? How and who has the authority to have this shelter immediately closed as soon as possible, or within 90 days somehow an agreement can be arranged? That would be with the city. I would like to recommend the city, upon study, make 2 motions, and these can be amended in any way, but they're for these simple terms. The Good Neighborhood Advisory Committee, which is highlighted, must give you a monthly progress report to the City Council if they're standing up to the agreement that was made, that no problems are occurring. I'm not talking about little things. I'm talking about something serious. And secondly, that it be deemed that the City Council may terminate the city agreement after a complete study should there be serious problem or problems that can directly be attributed to the shelter. Not things that go on there all the time. We know that. We live in the city. You know things happen. I want to thank you, and I hope that you're looking at the pictures that are being passed around there. I think you can use your own judgment. Something needs to be done with these gentlemen. And, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll submit them to the city manager as well. So what we can do. Go ahead.
I'd like to briefly address the comments by Mr. Brierly. Thank Mr. Brierly and other representatives of the area who came here tonight. I did have an opportunity to be at a meeting with members of the different neighborhoods several weeks back. I unfortunately was not able to attend the latest meetings, but I do concur that these requests are very reasonable something that I made mention at one of the meetings I was at, and our staff was there, and I've been in communication with our city manager staff and planning staff, is that we do need to make sure that the Salvation Army is held to the standards requirements that we are imposing to ensure that they are good, in fact, good neighbors. And I do ask that we do get these reports. At a minimum, I'd like to get them personally, as this isn't within my area. And if there are any direct reasons for concern, that we do take action to rescind the permits that we are providing for them on a temporary basis. So let's just make sure to monitor that and provide those updates and keep the neighborhood leaders there apprised of any just findings that the committee brings up, but then also action that we might be taking as a city. Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, Marilyn Toms, are you present? Please come on down, followed by Brett Sweet.
Good evening. My name is Marilyn Tomes. I'm a lifelong resident of North Tustin. I provided to the clerk a map that I hope each of you have in front of you. Yes. So I'm here today to talk about the Latitude apartments that are located in the northeast section of Santa Ana. As you can see, that's highlighted by the yellow. It's a very large apartment complex, mostly 3 bedrooms, very nice apartments going for about $2,400 a month. Across the street, you'll note that in orange, that's City of Santa Ana. A few years ago, because of all the parking problems that you were having from the apartments, you actually put in permit parking only. So in the orange area, it's marked parking with permit only, and those people do have permits. When you instituted that, the problem then moved across the freeway. And for a while, we were able to deal with it. But City of Tustin is between Santa Ana and North Tustin. And if you'll note where the blue is, last month, City of Tustin has now put in no parking. So now what we're on our street, Ethelby Way, that's shown in pink, we are getting all the residents that need off-site parking. I also will note on my map that the blue blob is the Minute Market. Minute Market, you can pay $5, the residents can pay $5 a night to park if they can't find parking anywhere else. And then next to that, where I have the red, that's a vacant lot. And these apartments are going right now a multi-million-dollar renovation. When they're working on your area, they allow you to park in this space, but it is closed at night, so you can't do overnight parking, and you cannot do parking on the weekends. We're here to ask for your help. Our neighborhood, we have been to the County of Orange. We can go the same route, no parking. They said it could be this whole neighborhood up to Yorba. But you know what that's going to do? That's going to throw it right back into Santa Ana, because the closest parking is going to be down where I have it marked in orange. And that's not fair to these people. I've talked to these residents. They said in the 3-bedroom apartments where they sometimes have 6 people, they only get 2 parking spots. So I would like to ask that you will help us find a solution to this. We're willing to be part of the solution. We're willing to meet with you. We've, talked to everyone. Every city is kind of going their own route, and we're at last resort. So
Thank you, Marilyn. I think Brett Sweet is here as well. He's probably going to speak on the same topic, I would assume.
Yes.
Please come on forward, Brett.
Hi, I'm Brett Sweet. I also live in North Tustin there on Ethelby. And in regards to it, we've got to do something to fix it. It's causing our property values to go down. We've got a house on the corner that's been for sale since December that hasn't been sold. I mean, that whole street that you see in the blue and pink, that connection there is full every day. The trash, they throw their trash out. They come and go from up to 3 in the morning making noise. And it's hard for the residents there. I collect, because where I'm located, the trash that's being dumped out on that street. There shouldn't be any trash on that street. There's not even a house on that street. So, and all that trash ends up in my yard.
Mayor?
Yes.
I believe this is in my ward. Is there anything we can do? Can we meet and see how we might be able to help?
Yes, Councilman, we can do that.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. Let's set up a meeting.
Yeah.
So set up some meetings with the councilwoman, hopefully we can figure something out. And just for the history books, do you know why that little sliver is there that's Tustin? To keep Santa Ana from annexing what is right now the whole rest of the area. And unfortunately that got away, but if we were all one city right there, this wouldn't be an issue. It'd be much easier to solve. But thank you.
Thank you. So,
Thank
Mr.
you.
City Manager, can we follow up and just have a meeting? Thank you.
Jason Avila, can you please step forward? Followed by Jeff Benson, followed by the John M. Raya. And you have to tell us what M stands for when you come up, John.
Hello, my name is Jason Awula, and I'm here again to address the council and Mayor Polito. For this message, I'm with the Americans for Safe Access Orange County chapter.
Got it. Note it for the record, please.
And, we're newly formed, and I'm here to discuss the medical marijuana dispensary issue, and I wanted to say that, it's a controversial issue. I respect law enforcement has a tough job, the council, you have a tough job, but, I've been contacted by some of these organizations with the collectives, and they want to form an organization that might, take part in some political activity that may not be favorable to certain, members on this council. And I'm just here to relay a message, that number one, we just want to see to it that people are held accountable. And the folks that are coming to me are saying this. If you look at the media, they're saying, hey, the cops are the bad guys in this situation. We're breaking the doors down and all that, which I don't agree with. From my understanding, municipal government, or from municipal government, is that the mayor is the one who has, calls the shots on what law enforcement does in, a municipality. And to keep it to the point, the organization I'm with, the Americans for Safe Access, is a 501c4, which can use 50% of its fundings on any type of political activity. So basically, it can function as a campaign committee, more or less. And some of these folks have an interest in potentially recalling some people here, and it hasn't come to that yet. But we'd like to maybe have a discussion with you in the near future, and see if we can maybe get an ordinance on the floor that's favorable to everybody. Because, from my perspective, government's supposed to serve people, and the people of Santa Ana have expressed their interest in having medical cannabis here in a regulated manner, of course, so something that's taxed and controlled, and that's just basically what I'm
Thank you,
here.
Jason.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate
Thank you. Jeff? And after Jeff, John Ryan, and then Noah Briseño.
Good evening, City Council. I'm just here to give the whole chamber updates on what's been going on the past week. So if everyone has been watching the news lately, the Mayor Polito is facing a federal civil rights lawsuit in regards to he gave bribes to powerful medical marijuana dispensaries and offered limo service, etc. And this would benefit just the most powerful winners of the lottery that were most likely rigged. And it is my opinion that it's no coincidence that the rapper of Cypress Hill won the medical marijuana lottery. The purpose was to eliminate the competition so that dispensaries, the certain powerful dispensaries, can benefit. So you have not, and Mr. Mayor, you have not condemned any of the behavior in the marijuana dispensary raid. All you have done is attack the cannabis dispensary patients and the dispensary. Also, it would be more appropriate if the city attorney commented to the media about it instead of you. I think that's more appropriate in other cities. It hasn't happened in this city for some reason. It proves that you have an agenda pro-excessive force and anti-patients access. And I cannot believe you've been mayor for 22 years. I've never heard of a local official being in power for that long, except for maybe Chicago for a few decades. But it's just Congress where they serve life terms, but it's only in Santa Ana where the mayor gets a lifetime term. It should be like the LA City Council mayor where it's 2 4-year terms. So you've been in power for so long, and I recommend that you reconsider retirement somewhere. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for looking at me while you speak. Also, I want to tell you that White, Nelson, Dale, and Evans conducted the lottery, and I would refer you to them on any questions about how it was handled. John Raya, please go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council, city manager.
What does the M stand for, John?
I'm getting there. The M stands for Martin. It was my godfather, Martin Medrano, who had Medrano Motors on South Main for a lot of years here in Santa Ana.
Beautiful. Qué bonito. Thank you.
Yeah, he's a good man. I remember him fondly. Actually, I'm here to talk a little bit about TKO's scholarship event coming up June 28th. 1 to 4 at Original Mike's, 100 South Main. So you at home, please come join us and continue to help us do the good work that we're doing. We're going to have our scholarship presentation, and also the Deputy Chief Bruce Carlson Scholarship Award is a big part of our event. Captain Carlson, as we knew him then, was
very good man.
Very good man and very involved, and really got a lot of pleasure out of that. This event is still attended by his family, and a portion of the proceeds will be going towards the travel expenses that we'll use to send 5 of our athletes to the World Ringside Tournament in Kansas City this August. So please, folks here and at home, come join us, come help us do what we're doing, and keep the kids learning how to be winners inside and outside of the ring. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, John. Noah or Nora Briseño, please, followed by Aja Seligin. Elliot Selglin. Just in a moment. Please go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Nora Briseño. I'm the owner of the Venezuelan restaurant. Most of you guys know me. The reason that I'm here, this is my first time I come to your meetings. I have a business here for 12 years. So I've been here on 5th Street next to this federal building, just right there. I used to be on the 318, which is...
Nora, what's your address again?
Okay, it's 320 West 5th Street.
Okay.
So, Mil Jugos, the Venezuelan restaurant. Okay,
You go there, right?
Yeah, most of you guys know me. So, and I didn't know, but I'm glad that you guys know who I am. So, 2 Fridays ago, we got breaking into our business. So somebody came from the back door, and they stole money, pretty much. And the reason that I'm here is because I called the police around 11 o'clock, 11:15. I don't have exactly the time exactly. So they say, okay, don't touch anything. We're just going to go there. We're going to send somebody. See, I didn't call 911 because I don't know when it's a priority. I say, well, I'm not going to call 911 because nobody's hurt. Well, I'm going to call the police, right? So I call the police. So they say, don't touch anything. We're going to send somebody. Okay, the rush hour came. We started looking what else the guy took. They took the money from the 2 register. They got all my keys from all the building, from the basement, from all my deposit that my rooms that I have, my catering equipment and all that. So they took all the keys. I had to chain all the locks. It cost me like $1,000 just to send that. And then after the rush hour, this guy come with a skateboard and a pair of shoes, brand new, and put it on the lounge. And I go, hey, and the guy took off with the skateboard, and then he left the pair of shoes in the lounge area, which is, to me it was like, well, it's explosive. I don't want to touch that. So I go back and I say, I have this report. I just wanted to let you know this is, a pair of shoes I don't want to touch that. So the dispatcher told me, so are you telling me that it's a bomb? And I said, no, I'm not saying that it's a bomb, but I don't want to touch that. So can you send somebody? Nobody showed up. After like maybe 2 more hours, like around 4:30, then the police show up. But then went and I said, okay, well, maybe the federal building guys can help me. So I went and said, look, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a bomb. I don't know what it is. Can you help me? The guy said, okay, I will call somebody. Then I called next door neighbors, and they come with a stick, and they start moving the shoes. And then all my keys inside the shoes,
It's red. Please conclude.
Okay, well, I need help. We need help, and that maybe because we are next to the federal building, there's no police around, nobody came, and I need answers to that.
Thank you. See that good-looking guy right over there? He's our city manager.
Yeah, they are my customer, all of them. I
Well,
feed
talk
them.
to him. He can help
Okay,
you.
Okay.
Okay? Next time, don't give him food until he
Well,
helps you.
Maybe I will give him food for with a little bit
Give
of
him a little bit
touch.
of food, then when he helps you, then you give him more food.
Yeah.
And so we'll go with that.
Okay.
Yes,
Mayor,
please.
If I could, I normally don't make comments, but we did pass the budget, and it has 7 police officers. We added 10 before that through the grants, and then another 6 through the BB ordinance. And then in August, we're going to come back to the full council with some proposals related to parking and improvements, and there'll be 4 new police officers recommended specifically for the downtown. We do need more officers downtown.
Yeah, but then you guys also, with the years that I've been here, 12, I see in the city, and I used to brag about that because I live in Laguna, right? So I used to tell people, come and visit Santa Ana. I'm from another country, so when I come and tell people, okay, well, I'm in Santa Ana, will you come and try my food? Santa Ana? Are you kidding me? I'm not going over there. I didn't know what they mean.
But now they're coming, and we're
They-
going to make it better for you.
Exactly. I hope, though.
And Mayor Pro Tem is going to continue to visit you as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
Take care. Thank you. I know we've done this before, but how do you pronounce your name correctly again?
Okay, I hope you will give me 3 minutes.
I'll give you, right now the clock's not on. This
Okay,
is on our
yes.
time. Just
My-
speak into the mic. Bring it up a little bit.
Yes.
Bring
okay.
it up. How do you pronounce your name again?
My name is Ilya Tseglin.
Louder.
Ilya Tseglin.
Got it. Thank you. Please go ahead. Now we'll turn the light on.
Good evening, Mayor Pulido and Santa Ana City councilors. My name is Ilya Tseglin. I do not ask for a single privilege for me and my family. I am asking not to exterminate my son Nate, who is a second generation of Holocaust survivor and was kidnapped from his family on the basis of false report from Orange County Regional Center to Social Services. If he would be with family, then the social services and police extradited him in second. But because he mistreated outside of family by Orange County Regional Center, then social services avoid to notice his inhuman condition. Social services wants police to file the report first. The police declined to write the reports and chasing family away from this group home in Santa Ana at 903 South Harmony. This group home is the ambulances and the firefighters and police declined to escort him to emergency room 4 times. But when Nate was eventually brought to emergency room, then security from emergency room chased family away, changed records to look positive to Orange County Regional Center and negative to Nate and my family, depriving family to talk to the doctors. DDS, Orange County Regional Center, in violation with Constitution and law position, petition to remove conservatorship from innocent family when public defender Cheryl Beasley Aspina Felden, public guardian John Legenix, treacherously betraying his client Nate Tseglin, all of the attorney, including DDS, on the side of Orange County.
Please, if you can
Center.
conclude.
We have no attorney. It is extermination of Holocaust survivor. It is not better from extermination from the camp.
Thank you, Alya. Now, Robert Seglia, please, if you can come forward. Please, go ahead,
Thank you.
Robert.
Yes, thank you. My name is Robert Seglin, brother of Nate Seglin. Hello, Honorable Santa Ana City Council. This is Robert Seglin. Yes, indeed, this is a case of government organized crime in Orange County in which the Irvine Police and the Social Services, the Public Defender, the Guardian ad litem, and the court are the criminals committing organized crime in which they invaded the home and our residents in Irvine and kidnapped my brother from home twice. The same police officers, although it was unconstitutional, was ruled that he was returned home twice, actually 3 times. But they continue to do so, and they're covering up the abuse and the that my brother's being poisoned to death on the Zyprexa and the Ambien that he's been taking for over a year. The Regional Center Group Home, 903 South Carmen Street, Santa Ana, supervised by the OCRC, where my brother Nate Seglin has been incarcerated for over a year, being illegally forced on numerous pills a day, held against his will unconstitutionally on a concoction of sleeping pills and antidepressants, the dosages of which have been illegally concealed from the parents and conservators. It is a DDS with the support of the Guardian ad litem Legenics with the Public Defender's Office in Orange County of Beasley and Ospino, who are supporting basically the extermination of my brother is being poisoned on drugs. He has seizures every day, and parents are not allowed. He's not allowed to go to the hospital, and the paramedics refuse to bring him to the hospital when he's having the seizures. And the Santa Ana police are the ones who chase my parents away from the group home when they call the emergency room. So his constitutional rights are being violated as far as him being locked in the facility, and he's not allowed to go to the hospital. So there's no way to stop them killing him because he's not allowed to go to the hospital. So he continues having seizures every day, and we don't know how dangerous that is. My brother Nate Seglin, as a result of the side effects of the seizures, has become unconscious. As the APS on numerous occasions, as the APS report of the staff indicated, he was laying on the floor in the bathroom for 20 minutes. He's been deprived of food and water on a number of occasions, and he is prevented from going to the hospital even when he asks to do so. So essentially the public defender and the Santa Ana Superior Court is using their corrupt judges are using their power to legally basically
Robert, if you could conclude,
so,
please.
Yeah, so I would say that I would like the Santa Ana police to do their job and the Santa Ana paramedics to do their job to take him to the hospital and also to release him to his family. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me just ask Mayor Pro Tem if he might make a comment, because, look, you guys have been here at least 20 times, and we try to help you, but it's outside of our jurisdiction. But maybe there's something we could do to maybe put you in a different channel or something, because you're going to continue coming, and we're going to continue to feel frustrated, and it's not like a parking variance or something within the city. This is beyond that, but it takes a lot of our time to listen every time and not be able to help. Any thoughts, please, Mayor Pro Tem?
The only thing I can say is I know that that you've come here so often, Ilya, that all of us felt very moved by your story and compelled. I think we directed the city attorney to try to help once, and then I also think I directed you to Disability Rights of California, which is a nonprofit office that helps folks with children who have disabilities. So I don't think they were able to help either. So I don't know at this point what we can do. And again, I was going to direct it back to the city attorney to see if there's anything. But we all feel moved by your story and the condition that your son is in. So we just feel a little constrained because the limits of our authority can't really do much more. But just to feel compassion for you. So.
Thank you. With that, Candace Hawes Lopez, if you can step forward, followed by Jessica Lux.
Hello, Mayor and Council. My name is Candace Hawes. It's been quite a while since I've been here. I actually been trying to de-stress my life since I found out I was pregnant about 5 months ago, but I thought this was really important that I come down here and speak to you guys. Of course, what I'm talking about is something really important that you guys should all be discussing, and that would be the recent raid that was caught on video camera that went national. Just today I saw there was 6 million views on the internet, and I just want to make sure that your guys' council is going to follow up this time on the egregious actions of the police department. For those of you who haven't seen the video, officers got caught on camera eating apparently marijuana edibles, joking around, playing darts, and then at the end, when a female officer said she wanted to kick a person in a wheelchair in their nub. Recent reports in the media say that there's been no actions taken in the police department about this, and I think it's really important that you guys encourage the police department to do a full investigation, hold these officers responsible. It was only a year ago in July that there was another police department action that brought negative light to Santa Ana when the police department went on 2 separate days and arrested over 100 people. And during that time, there was other alleged abuses of the police department. So it's very important that you guys take this seriously. It's casting a very negative light on the city of Santa Ana. This is now a nationwide issue. So I just want to make sure that you guys take this very seriously, and I think it would be best for the public and for the image of the city that you guys do reprimand these officers for what they've done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Candace. Jessica Lux, are you here?
Good evening. I'm here to express my concern about last week's raid on the Medical Marijuana Collective. The people of Santa Ana have expressed a clear voter preference for safe, legal access to cannabis, otherwise known as medical marijuana. If the city believes a marijuana collective is operating outside some sort of regulatory bounds, you could have code enforcement knock on the door to talk. You could send a letter in the mail. My family and friends are members of this collective, and they're all responsible, active citizens who would respond promptly and sincerely to any kind of compliance issue. There is no need for a violent armed assault on peaceful medical patients. The police violently destroyed business property. Why is the city spending money to raid medical marijuana collectives in violation of the will of the people? Thanks.
Thank you. The last person, Ivan Enriquez, I believe it is, or Ivan. And then after that, I don't know who this is, but somebody filled out a card and it says USA citizen.
U.S. citizen, that's me, sir.
I also filled out one to recall, but it didn't say USA citizen.
You're right next to USA citizen?
I am U.S. citizen.
You're a U.S. citizen? All right, let's let him speak and then I'll come to both of you.
Okay.
Please, go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Ivan Enriquez. I'm the chairman for the Youth Commission. And I am up here just to remind you that this Friday, our youth commissioners will be meeting here in the dais, and they will be conducting their meeting. That will be at 5 p.m. here at the council chambers. And just a few things. We've been very successful at having the commissioners themselves actually submit their own proposals representing their areas of the city, so I'm very proud of them. And the progress is doing very well. Right now, we're working on bylaws. And bylaws are kind of a touchy subject, even for involved youth. And so I was actually wondering if the city attorney would be present during our proceedings to go through the bylaws while we're going through them.
Maybe we have somebody from her office if she's conflicted. Maybe we have somebody from the city attorney's office assist you. They're trying to develop bylaws, Madam City Attorney, and it's difficult for adults. We struggle with that as well. But look, you're doing a great job. I know you're chairman of the Youth Commission, and this is all very positive. Kudos to you, and thank you for coming down. Thank you. All right, U.S. citizen, please step forward.
Good evening, Santa Ana City Council, Office of the Mayor. I'm not familiar with this municipality. I live in South County. I will say this. After sitting in one meeting here for a couple of hours, you are a very forward, upbeat, positive city that seeks to do a lot for its people. Nobody is perfect. I'm a friend of the Tseglins for years. I know their son Nate, too, is a victim of the system. I won't go into the details that the boarding care homes are largely run extremely illegally and very, very possibly by organized criminal interests, backing them, who are in collusion with state, federal, local offices. All right, that's an unfortunate fact of life. I tell the Board of Supervisors the FBI should be brought into this. It's organized crime here in our county. But the most local issue that I'm bringing up here is that it seems that this boarding care home on Harmon Street's manager seems to have their interests patronized by the Santa Ana Municipal Police. For example, Nate Tseglin, suffering seizures and other problems due to improper medication, is in need of hospital visits. The Tseglins are the legal conservators. The director of the home, Mr. Pena, says they're not, even though that's not legally true. And unfortunately, members of the Santa Ana Police are patronizing the managers of this home on Harmon Street, preventing young Mr. Tseglin from getting medical assistance, getting to the ER, allowing Mr. Tseglin, his father and legal conservator, from being there when Nate gets medical help. And this is a very, very sad thing. This is a very nice city from what I see. But perhaps your city government would take seriously of curbing the excesses of corrupt people in the municipal police department who are becoming criminals.
If you can please conclude.
Excuse me, sir?
The light is yellow. If you can please wrap up.
Okay, I think I'm about finished. I just hope that a very fine city like this would take seriously that your own police department's excessive behavior needs to be seriously curbed, and all of you take seriously that this is not a good thing. And
We
you
are.
have the power to curb them.
We are. Thank you very
Thank you,
much for
sir.
your comment. Thank you. Ruth, and then after Ruth, we're going to do a little bit more business because in about 4 minutes, I'm going to lose everybody, and I apologize. I know there's some people in the audience that want to speak, but I'm going to lose the quorum very shortly. Please go ahead, Ruth.
Mayor Polito, members of the City Council, I'm very pleased to be here. I appreciate the job you're doing here. Well, a lot of people here have concerns about over-response from the Santa Ana Police Department. I'm presenting another issue. This has been presented to me for years by other individuals, and this is a lack of response to actual crimes. I myself was a crime victim on Wednesday when my tires were cut with a knife on Wednesday morning when I was supposed to be a witness in a case in Bakersfield. I actually had to have my car towed to Bakersfield where the tires were later changed after the court date. And then but the police department did not respond before the tow truck arrived. And then when I tried to contact them later, I was told that it had been too many hours. I kept trying to call the non-emergency number, but received no answer. I tried filing a response online after a dozen tries where I got technical error. I finally, was able to post something online. But in a case where there's an actual suspect, you're not supposed to post online, but not being able to post in person, I had to do it online. So I would like to see if maybe you could check into the system by which they are receiving crime reports and encourage them to maybe, instead of over-responding to some instances like we've heard about, maybe actually, where there are crimes, go out there and take reports for, public goodwill and try and help solve the crimes that are taking place in the city.
Thank you, Ruth. With that, we have about a minute and a little bit left, so let me just go to City Manager comment, please.
Very briefly, Mayor, we have a July 4th celebration. We encourage everybody to be there at Centennial on July 4th.
Thank you very much for that. Let's go with Angie Amesco, please.
A quick congratulations to all the graduates, class of 2015, especially my nephew Alexis Arguello and my son who's graduating from elementary school on Thursday. Happy Father's Day to everyone. And Mayor, I just do have one request. Since I am the director of the OCFA, if you could please let me know, because I had no idea that you had brought this bill
I tried to tell you earlier, and I'll tell you privately.
Right, okay, because we didn't know about it, Roman, and I think it's important that we're all aware of what's going on. Thank you.
Councilman Reyna, please.
As always, be water wise. It is Happy Father's Day. My dad, I miss him dearly, so please enjoy the time you have with your father now. And like always, as often as we possibly can, please shop in Santa Ana. Last thing, I'm going to direct staff. At some point, we had put together fundraising to create a bust for Officer Jose Vargas. And now that we've been able to accomplish that, we're looking for a home to put this at. So I'm not sure if we're going to put this, if we're looking at putting this at the lobby of the PD or the lobby of City Hall, but he definitely needs to be in a position of honor, and if we could figure what that looks like, I'd greatly appreciate it. With that, thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilman Benavides, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to wish all the fathers out there Happy Father's Day. Father is a very key person in a child's life. I know my dad had a significant influence in mine, and just want to encourage, as Councilman suggested, for everybody to appreciate and spend that time with Dad, and for dads, for us to be able to cherish that time with our kids as well. This weekend, 4th of July is coming up. Just want to wish everybody a happy 4th of July, and as want to echo our city manager's encouragement to have everybody come out. It's been a wonderful celebration. If you haven't had the opportunity to come out, Centennial Park, 4 o'clock on Saturday, 4th of July, we have a spectacular fireworks show afterwards as well. I just want to encourage folks to support our city, support the economy, support local jobs, and shop in our city. Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I wanted to just thank all the speakers that came before us. And I know that what was referenced earlier about the incident that took place and the video that everybody saw and that was covered pretty thoroughly by the media. I wanted to say that I know that what some of the comments was that there be an investigation. Just for clarity purposes, my understanding, Mr. City Manager and the Chief as well, is that there is an investigation currently pending. We can't talk too much about it for confidentiality purposes, but thank you for being proactive and doing that, because that is something that I think we should do. We should try to be as open as we can with the public and let them know what steps are being taken. I did get a chance to see the video as well. It is disturbing when you see it. Again, we don't know the full facts. I think to the Chief's point, we don't know how much of this of the tape was maybe doctored or altered. Hopefully that investigation will give us more information, and we want to make sure that it's investigated thoroughly. So, I thank the Chief. I know that we have a fine department. I don't think that we want things like this to blemish it, because it has such a good record of doing great work, and I think it's well respected not only in the county but in the state. So we want to make sure that we continue to have that good reputation. So with that, I also wanted to let folks know that I went to a conference this past weekend at George Washington Law School. It was the Joint Center for Economic and Political Studies. It was funded by that center. It selected 30 elected officials from throughout the country to discuss public policy issues having to do with criminal justice reform, energy, technology. We were addressed by different folks like Senator Cory Booker, Senator Rand, and others, but it was to discuss better practices, and I know that policing was one of them as well. So I'd like to see about those of us, and I direct this also to the Chair of Public Safety. There's something prepared by the administration called 21st Century Policing, and their recommendations and guidelines, and many of those we're already following, like adopting body cameras and doing different things, but it's just better practices, and I think it speaks to what we're talking about. It's very forward-looking, and I think our department would be well served if we took a look at it, adopted some of the recommendations that were in that report. But I agreed to have the chairman take a look at it. I'm going to forward him my copy so he can see what those items are. But I think it's something that, for what's happening, not just in our community, but what's happening nationally, they're really good recommendations for us to consider. So with that, I just wanted to disclose that. Again, my travel was compensated by the center. We also did some lobbying while we were there. We lobbied on behalf of our homelessness problem to try to get some information on that. And I also met with folks from the COPS program. We were successful in the last round getting funding for 10 additional officers. We're in the next round for some more officers, so that's where the advocacy was there. And with that, I want to wish all the fathers in our community a happy Father's Day, and so hopefully everybody has a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to mention three things. One is that I urge our police department, as we go through the investigation, to hopefully conclude it as soon as possible, because it does put us in a light that we're not proud of, and whatever we can do as it relates to professionalism at all times, it's a good thing. And we do have a tremendous department, a department I believe that is second to none in the country, and so the sooner we can move beyond this investigation and take appropriate steps, the better. Secondly, I just want to again thank the City Council. We adopted a very important budget today. We were able to move on. Thirdly, we've got the 4th of July coming around, and fourthly, I said 7:45, and we're pretty close to that. So with that, this meeting is adjourned.